Welcome to the Friendly Frequencies podcast. I am your host, Carmen McLeod, and I am here to talk to you about my passion for spirituality and personal development. My purpose in life at this time is to remind you how powerful you truly are and that you create your own reality. If the mind, the soul, and the universe are topics that interest you, and you want to continue to evolve into your soul's purpose, then you are in the right place. Thank you for joining me as I travel the world and record my journey through self-discovery. Wow, you guys. Okay, let me just try and even begin to explain life right now. It seems like it kind of gets more and more like this every week, but I'm seriously just, I'm blown away by life right now. It just keeps unfolding so beautifully, and what better time for things to be unfolding beautifully than the beginning of a new year. So happy new year, everyone. This is my first episode of 2023, so that's really exciting. And wow, so I want to talk. I feel like I have way too many things to say, and I'm trying to think on if I should make this into 2 episodes, because I feel like it's going to be a lot if I say it all in one. So let me do that. I'm going to make this episode right now about my last year, and I feel like that's just what it feels like. That's the right thing to talk about right now, considering it's my first episode of the new year. So I'm going to talk about really what has happened for me over the last year, and as well as my intention for the upcoming year, for the current year. And then I have a whole, I'm going to make a part 2. It's because, wow, part 2 is going to, and part 2 you're probably going to be even more interested in for sure. And I'll give you, maybe, should I give you a sneak peek? Okay, sure. So I did a solo mushroom trip on my own the other day. This was, on the 2nd of January. And so it was a very, very powerful way to start my year. Let's just say that. And my experience was just so powerful and so... I'm still processing it, and I think I'm going to keep processing it for a while. I actually feel like it, in that moment, I was like, I'm changed forever. This is for the better. Like, this is changing me for the rest of my life. I don't think I'll ever be the same. And I'm still thinking about it so much, about what happened and how I experienced it. But I'm going to do a whole episode on that, because that's just too much to add into this. So, bear with me on that. But for now, I just want to talk about, and these are kind of related because I thought a lot about this while I was on that experience, while I was having that experience on mushrooms in the Philippines on a random hill near the hostel I'm staying. What is my life? I know. But so what I thought a lot about, and what I've just been really pondering a lot, is what happened over the last year for me, and just how this has been the most transformational year of my life by far. I think it's pretty clear that is the case, and I just never felt so much gratitude in my life ever. It's just it's insane how abundant I feel, and it's just these feelings of abundance, just like I talk about this all the time. The feelings that I have that are so abundant, and I'm just so grateful. That's what's attracting more of it every day. That's what's attracting these job offers and just all of these things that I'm manifesting out of thin air. It's just because of the vibration that I'm feeling, and it's all feeding off of itself. The excitement that I have around this happening is bringing in the next thing that's going to make me even more excited, and then it's going to bring another thing in. It's just... I'm in a powerful place in my life, you guys, and I'm just so excited to be able to share this with everybody, because from what I'm hearing and the feedback I'm getting from people, it really sounds like you guys are feeling my vibration. You're just like soaking it in, and I just feel like I'm attracting so many amazing people, and the people that I meet out here are just so, I can feel that they feel my energy, and I think that it's just, I can honestly it's almost like I can see myself from a third person perspective, and I'm looking at myself like, who is this powerful woman right there? Like, wow, I'm just like, it's really hard to put into words, really, but I'm just so grateful to be in this position right now, because I'm really going into this year in the most powerful mindset, most powerful state I've ever been in. And I'm just beyond grateful for this. So I'm going to create some miracles this year, you guys. And I'm glad that you're here with me along for the ride. And I'm just excited to see what miracles you all create in your life as well. So what happened over the last year? How did I even get to this point of being in this crazy, powerful energy? I mean, I've always been a powerful woman, but because I'd say because my mom is a powerful woman, like the most powerful woman I know. And so that's turned me into, I've become a lot like her in my own special way. Like, I'm still myself, but I'm a lot like her. And so I think that's what set me up for success in life. Having parents like the ones that I did just really set me up for a lot of success in life. And so I'm always grateful for this. But I still was not. A year ago, I was happy. I was what you would call maybe successful in a way, but I was still a student, and I was very busy. I was definitely like kind of encapsulated. I don't know if that's the right word, but in the Western world, I was very in the Western world of kind of sort of rat race, but also knowing that I need to just get through this and I'll get out of it, and then I'm going to live my life the way I want to. So I was always happy during this time. I was very busy, always busy, full-time student, working at a nonprofit organization and volunteering and playing hockey and just so beyond busy. But I was so happy because I knew that I'm like, as soon as I graduate and get out of this prison, because I felt I did not enjoy post-secondary school very much, but I knew that there was an end date to it. So it just felt like I was always so excited for it to be done so that I could just go live my life. And I didn't know that I'd be doing this. I didn't know that I'd be traveling solo, and I sure as hell didn't know that I would be becoming a tour guide and a traveling artist and podcaster, all of this. I had no idea that any of this would happen. But I knew that whatever I wanted to do, I could make happen, because I think I've always had that sort of mindset, maybe not always, but it's been on and off, because I feel like I also was a little bit brainwashed by the education system, a little bit, because I did go to public school from grade 6 till the end of my 4-year degree. So that's quite a long time, about 10 years or longer of being in the education system, which of course is amazing. I learned so much from it, and there is a piece of that system that can brainwash you a little bit into being very normal and like looking for a normal job and doing the normal Western world thing. So there was a point. So I know this is a kind of a long way of going about saying all of this, but it's all related. I think only about a year ago, I think it was maybe it was a little longer than a year ago, between a year and 2 years ago is when I realized I didn't want to be a police officer anymore. And that led me to a series of epiphanies, or at least that was the start of a series of epiphanies that completely changed my life from this very straightforward path into a secure job that was financially stable and still quite risky, which is all, what I'm all about. I love taking risks, but it wasn't me. And it's interesting because so many people in my life really knew that it wasn't me, and they never saw me as a police officer and they didn't tell me until I decided for myself that it wasn't for me. And they were like, thank God I never saw you as a police officer. And now that I see it, I'm like, how did I ever think I was cut out for that? Because, of course I can do anything, but I'm a hippie, gypsy, free-spirited woman that I'm woman of the world. Okay. I just don't see how, it just doesn't, it's not for me. Anyways. So thank God for that. I don't know if that actually happened this year, but after that, what definitely did happen in the last year in 2022 was, I had a epiphany around starting my podcast. I've talked about this story before in a previous episode around, it's actually a longer episode ago, about how I was meditating, and it came through in a meditation, and I was almost like I was spoken to by God or by the universe or something, my higher self or someone spoke to me and told me I'm meant to be so much more than an artist. So at this point I moved from policing into being a full-time artist. That was my new career goal and my new plan for after I graduated. And then I had this spiritual download from my meditation, telling me that I'm meant to do a lot more than that. I'm meant to change the world. I'm meant to public speak and share my message. And then after that, I had another epiphany. These were all within a couple months. It's just insane. But the next one was probably the most life-changing one, I guess, because that was where, and it was very simple. It was just me dancing in my kitchen, making breakfast, just feeling really joyful for, no particular reason. And it just kind of hit me out of nowhere. Oh, I want to be this happy all the time. And then that's where it just came into my mind. Why don't I go travel the world like for a long time? Because I had already planned my trip to Southeast Asia with my boyfriend at the time. We had a trip planned. And so that's where I just had the idea, maybe I should stay out there and keep traveling. And so that was probably the most life-changing decision that I ever made. And that one was just, and then that led to all the rest of it just unfolding. So, I finished school. I finished over 4 years of post-secondary school. Completed that. I went traveling immediately and continued extending my trip more and more. I quit my job, all of the things. I mean, you guys probably know the story by now, but this is just such key moments in my year and in my life, that pivotal moments that completely changed everything for me. And a lot of it was based on my intuition telling me something, and I'm just listened to it. And sometimes I heard on a different podcast that when your intuition is talking to you, it starts off like a whisper. You kind of hear a tiny little whisper. And even if you don't actually hear a voice, it's more like you have the thought and it comes up very subtly, and you don't even sometimes notice it. And then it gets a little bit more and you're like, oh, that's weird. But then you kind of like, no, and I could never. And then your logical mind steps in and you don't even let yourself go there. And anyways, apparently, it starts off this way and then it gets louder and louder and louder. And sometimes if you're not listening to your intuition when it's really just screaming at you by this point, it sometimes takes something to knock you over and completely hit you in the face with it and knock you down, so that it almost shakes you out of that state of ignoring it. And then you're like, oh, okay, so now I'm ready to listen. When something really profound happens, I think that's kind of what it means, what they're talking about. And anyway, so for me, in that experience, the way that I experienced that was in my most recent longer relationship that I had with my boyfriend, who I went traveling with, and I had felt for a while like it started off as a whisper around our relationship. We were together for 3 years, and it started off as a whisper, very, and for a long time, like long before we started traveling, this whisper kind of got a little bit louder, but at some points, but I wasn't allowing myself to go there because, I just couldn't. I'm like, no, but we have this trip planned, we have this, and he's so amazing, and all